I used a pen.
Yep.
Took their Sharpie and threw it away.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my ballot.
And it read your ballot.
And it read my
so
ballot.
what they're doing is they're telling people to use the Sharpies. That way, those votes aren't counted.
Yes.
That's exactly what's happening. So there was other people that were in there voting with their pens, and they literally went around and they were yanking pens out of their hands.
Yes, they tried to do that to me, and I took their Sharpie and I hid it, because then they said, look for all the Sharpies that are not being used and take the Sharpies back. They had a bowl of pens behind them that they were not giving to people and only giving Sharpies out.
There we go. So the ones with the Sharpies are not being read at all.
No.
No. None of those ballots are being read.
Of course not.
So that's and so they're doing it because they're trying to skew all of the votes in there.
And they
that's exactly what's going on.
They didn't try to even slide it more than one time. They immediately took it and slid it in the front. Like, not even tried a second time. They just
that's correct.
Ran it through and slid it in the front. And I was like, wait a
That's what they did with yours?
Yep. And I just went with the Sharpie, voted Trump, and she just slid it in, and that was it. But
they're not counting. They're not counting the ones with the Sharpies. And so they're forcing people to use the Sharpies, and those votes aren't being counted.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Right. And then I posted it on my Facebook group chat in my neighborhood. They said they did it at the Queen Creek Library. They did it at ASU Polytech earlier. That like 4 different polling places were doing Sharpies, all in like between Queen Creek and like the edge of Gilbert.
Yep. And those ones are not being counted.
Yeah.
They're invalid.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
like, I have proof.
So they're invalidating votes is what they're doing.
Yeah.
So with this whole Sharpie mess with the ballots, I think I have a theory as to how they knew who to give the pens to and who to give the Sharpies to. Again, this is just a theory, but I think it's a theory that we should be looking at. So when I went to go vote and I showed them my ID, when they put my ID in, I was able to see the screen, and my name came up, my address came up, and what party I was registered under also came up. So when I showed them my ID, they pretty much knew who I would be voting for based on which party I was registered with. And if that's the case, then they knew who to give the Sharpies to and who to give the pens to, because they knew which ballots would count and which ballots wouldn't. Which makes complete sense of why they were so forceful with some people to use the Sharpie and why they didn't care if other people used the pen.